Right, in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own version of the Dolce & Gabbana chilli print crop top recently worn by none other than Lana Del Rey. First of all, for the crop top part, if you haven't found a crop top nice and cheaply, don't worry. I like to use tailored structured dresses like this one and just sort of cut away the top. As you can see, it's got bust cups, which are going to be very useful for our references. You then need a pattern master, or graded set square will do. You need something nice and wide with parallel centimetre lines from the edge. So you want to take about 3 centimetre measurement, again aligning them with the bottom of the bust cups. And with a gel pen or something that will show up against a black background, trace your line. Mark them very clearly at the sides because they're going to be your references for the back, which is going to be somewhat less easy to measure. Once again, we've got our lines here. Just want to take your pattern master and align it so that it's straight. Then when you've done that, if there is a zip at the centre back, obviously once we cut past that, it's going to be without a stopper, and it's going to rip completely in half, which is not really the look we're going for. So, I'd like to secure it in place using a glue gun. So what you need is a glue gun, and just expose your zip, just shoot a blob onto there, leave it for a few seconds, before doing this, just so that you don't burn your fingers, and just smooth it down gently so that it doesn't look too unsightly. And peel away any excess strings, because that's the thing with glue guns, they can be a bit stringy. Once that's firmly glued in place, you've now got to cut it. So cut along your gold line. And then you need to stitch that in place. Once you've made your cut, you need to tuck up the lining and the external fabric. Just eyeball it as you go along, by about 1 centimetre along the edges. So I'm just going to show you, if you can see that fold there, you just want to pin it in place. We're going to hand stitch them together. Now I took black, so I've decided to cover it in white material just to make painting it that bit easier. And for that you just get your white fabric. Fold it back on itself along each seam with the edges, so you don't get a nasty raw edge. Pin it in place. And cut away the excess fabric. Try not to cut away too much because you need enough to just fold back on itself once you get to the edges, but just so that it's manageable enough to keep folding and pinning, like so. you might notice some white paint on here. I initially tried painting over it, but it didn't quite work. I'd say this method would be the more fail-safe of the two options. Fail-proof, rather. Okay, anyway, so you pin it along the edge like so, and then once that's done, you just slip stitch it along the edges to the base as before. For the record, slip stitching is a type of invisible stitch whereby you tie your thread like so, you fold your fabrics back on themselves so that they're, and then together, so they're folded. Then you take one fabric, bring your needle through the fold, like that, poke it out, pick up a couple of strands, your base fabric, the other fabric, and then take it in, back inside the fold and slightly back on itself. For a short space, poke it through whilst picking up a few strands of the other fabric, and so on. And so forth. So that's a slip stitch, and that's how we're going to attach our white fabric to the base once folded and pinned the bottom in place. Both fabrics. And once you've finished covering your top in white fabric, you should have something that looks like this. Your next move would be to draw out the peppers of the original. I find it helps to refer to a picture of the original, just to kind of get them right, and to just sketch them out with a pencil, which may or may not show up in this film, but I've started doing it, and I'm going to go back over them with a black gel pen. And once you've sketched out your patterns, you should have something that looks rather a lot like this. And now for the fun colouring in bits. I use these dyed-on fabric paints. They're about £3. And it's good to have a palette to kind of mix some colours. I'm using the red, the brown, the green and the yellow. So you just want to give them a good shake. Mix some of the red with the brown just for blending. Like so, because you're going to work into them a little bit. And just start painting away. Once you've finished painting it, it should hopefully look something like this. You then have to iron the paint in place, following instructions carefully. Generally it's about 1 to 2 minutes on a very high heat. The final move is to take some black and gems and Festa Diamantes. I got these from Tesco's. I think they're about £1 for a packet, £1.10. And some gem glue, which I got from Hobbycraft, and just stick these fake buttons down. And if you're having a good job of getting them symmetrical, I find it helps to use your pattern master. So for that gem, it's about 4.5 centimetres from each side, 2 centimetres in. You want to do the same on the other side. 4.5 centimetres, 2 centimetres in, so that's your reference point. Get your bead and gem glue and stick it down. Just going to cross-reference that again. So there's my coordinates, and your last move is to stick some diamantes around them. Once you've finished sticking your gemstones on, you should have something rather closely resembling this.